Hello, everybody. Please take your seats as we're about to get started on our next session. A quick reminder that online trading involves the risk of losing your funds. Make sure you understand all the risks involved, exercise caution, and trade with brokers you trust that hold the appropriate license by the FSCA. I'm honored to introduce the next fireside chat, the highs and lows of the modern trader. I'd like to invite on stage Ashley Reeve, trading educator at TD Markets, and Amar Ramith, CEO at TD Markets. Ashley and Amar, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. We need to hear a little bit more. Good afternoon. All right, so first and foremost, it's fantastic to be here. It's a privilege. For me, all of you guys, give yourself a round of applause. I think you can do a bit better than that.
You guys are really interested in a Trader Zone discussion, so wow, amazing. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And then obviously, Amar, what a privilege to share a moment with you. I think let's jump into it.
Yeah, sure. By all means.
Yeah,
of course.
So, Amar, you in the forefront, CEO, Managing Director, TD Markets, you in the forefront. You seeing the offensive side and you're also seeing the defensive side. You're basically seeing both sides of the game. I was chatting to a few guys walking around, obviously, asking them why are they here today? These are retail clients, obviously, retail traders. Why are you here? And I'm getting different answers, which we can tap into as we go on. But being in the forefront and playing defensive, what are the kinds of trends, types of patterns that you're seeing in the retail client or trader space?
That's a very good question, right? I think judging from the amount of people that have actually attended such an event in Africa, it's not about the offensive or the defensive. It's more about creating transparency towards the complexity of what trading in the online trading space actually means. What you should be on the lookout for, realistically, what it entails in the finest detail. It's pretty easy out there to find a lot of adverts. You find a lot of things which entice you into, many different types of investments and so on, call it that. But most importantly, I think it's a little bit of a different world from when this industry started, which is why, let's call it the modernity of it. Yeah. In this current age, there's a lot more complexity with new technology that exists, that actually requires a lot of in-depth research and the right questions to be asked from the right players in the industry, the right service providers in the industry.
Yeah. So you're saying complexity, which is astounding to me, because what we've done for you guys is just to give you a quick snapshot view of the past, the present, and the future of a retail client, the retail trader. And Amar mentioned, you said complexity. So if you look at the past, being in the trading education space, I've seen quite a few complexities in the past, but I do think that we've obviously pushed beyond certain types of complexities. Example, technology. The online world is now taken by storm and people are being trained online. What other complexities in the past, apart from what I've just mentioned, which is a big one, online, what other complexities have we overcome as a
largely access to actual capital. Look, we're in an industry where you need money to make money, right? One cannot expect to make a return of an investment of nil. But that is quite a large factor of the past. Yeah. As much as we have a tough economic climate now, I do believe that disposable income towards wiser investment decisions in a personal capacity has definitely increased. But we've definitely overcome the lack of capital and the lack of access to capital. But most importantly, from a complexity perspective, we're in a digital age for quite some time now, and there's significantly more access towards technology to be utilized in the form of an educational manner to better understand exactly what you're doing. Financial literacy is one of the most important factors in a human's life. Money is exactly what's needed for everything in life.
Exactly.
And without fully understanding how to be literate in your decisions with your finances, you create an organic complexity.
Mm-hmm. So then making informed decisions then I think becomes a critical point. And I think from the past then, with how we've advanced, we are making more informed decisions. Now fast forward past, let's go present. The complexity of too much data can also be a little bit of a tricky one, because in as much as we want to be educated, in as much as we want to make informed decisions, all right, everybody, the complexity of too much data. Now there's thousands of websites that's available. And with these thousands of websites giving so much data, whether you're using investing.com, you're using TradingView, using various sites that give you more or less similar data. What's your view on how we can streamline something like that for the present guy now? Because that's one of the complexities that's there.
So it's a good point, right? Because I spoke about this in a panel discussion yesterday. We're in the industry of money. Do you trust anything but a human element when it comes to working with your money? It's super, super important to be able to have a relatable type of interaction with somebody,
Yes.
such that you understand exactly what they're portraying, what they're trying to educate you
The
on.
human touch.
That's it, right? I mean, there are millions of websites out there.
Yeah.
I think it's Musk who says it's quite often. I mean, you don't really need to go to university anymore, right?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
learn anything you need to on YouTube. However, there's a benefit in that. We've had the pandemic, which created I think it became more of a verb than an actual platform, and that's Zoom.
Absolutely.
Like everybody knows, hey, cool, let's have a Zoom. And I think that has created the ability to have a one-on-one interaction so that you fully understand the decisions that you're about to make.
Yeah. And so, maybe just to add on that, all right, raw data. One of our points there is, how do you filter education or data of an investment for the guy that's here now, the retail trader, the guy that's coming in as a newbie, brand new, knows nothing about trading at all, and then moving on to intermediary and then advanced. How do you think, being in the front line and seeing what's happening, how can we streamline that data so that they can make more informed decisions?
Look, I think it's more about the mannerism of what appeals to you, right? Like data is data. There's always going to be an infinite amount of data points with regards to any factor that you might be researching, any factor that you might be sort of educating yourself on. Like that's a data point of excitement right there.
It's a spike,
You know,
exactly,
and,
yes.
an interesting fact is most of you guys are probably trying to figure out what on earth is going on there.
So the heads are turning.
I
It's,
see a check flying around in the air. That's pretty fun, right? But what does it actually mean for your finances? Because you're sitting here to try to figure something out about it, right? What appeals to you the most? Does being lucky and maybe winning something in this instance of a data point mean anything to you? Or does actually taking away something valuable that can contribute towards what you're sitting here for actually mean something to you? So, data is it's only usable from a point of common sense.
Common sense.
We're not all data scientists. It's an intense field.
Yeah.
Absolutely intense. Which is why, I sometimes laugh at technical analysts because, I mean, how many lines are you going to draw on a chart?
Just to,
I mean,
put it-
you
place
now
an
have
entry.
like interesting patterns and like a little Batman
Butterfly-
fly wing.
butterflies and boats
The reality is, how is it going to impact the decision you're making?
Gotcha.
How important is it if you can't already understand it?
Yeah.
Understand the basic factors.
Yeah.
And then you remove the factor of complexity.
Yeah. So let's take that point that you made, the excitement point. Let's move to the future of the retail trader, because at the end of the day, we can speak about the past, we can speak about the present, but we don't want to dwell there, right? Is there agreement with that? We want to move forward, right? So futuristically now, there's a spike of excitement. This is a business, after all, that you're trying to run for yourself. We have different opportunities where you have introducing brokers, example, coming in. They're trying to create a business out of this. So we remove that specific spike, that specific excitement, and move into the future. Now the question is education the bridge for the future retail trader?
Is education the bridge for anything you do in life? I mean, you cannot take on an activity simply without any knowledge of it. I mean, it's pretty easy to wire up a plug, as an example, right? But you learned how to do it somewhere.
Yeah.
Somebody taught you, hey, the green doesn't actually go on the left. That's the earth.
Yes.
And so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So education is always a bridge.
Yes.
It exists as not just a bridge, but it exists as the actual access point. You should not take a decision to do anything,
Yes.
more especially with your finances, without actually crossing through that access point of education.
Got you. So, okay, so...
But
so-
also, most importantly on that, you shouldn't actually spend all of your finances on your education either. Because we just touched on this just now, right? Education is freely available. So take the basis of education with your own research and take the basics of education into more advanced levels without actually spending all the money you intended to invest in that education only. Great, it's an investment in yourself, but we look at the value proposition behind it. Could you have gotten it cheaper? Could you have gotten it for free? You shouldn't have buyer's remorse with something that's supposed to give you an excited feeling of a return on investment.
Yeah. Look. I'd like to add to that by just posing something else, because I see we have just a limited amount of time. But so education is the bridge to anything. Don't spend everything on education. There's got to be some practicality after you've received that specific education, right? Now, I've been chatting to some people, and I asked them what's their proposition, and many of them said they want to train people. They want to provide education, and they asked, what's your thoughts about it? And my response was quite frank. I said that many people can train. If you give them a script and you tell them to read what support and resistance is, what's trend line, any person can do that if they can read English. But there's a skill to transferring understanding to someone about financial literacy.
Of course.
Right? Now, with that specific statement made, there's a lot of clients that get recycled in the system. So that recycling happens because one client goes, or trader, individual goes, I'm not happy here, I'm not getting what I need, I'm hopping on to the next. You've done the same system, it's going over, it's like round robin, over and over. How do you think, being in the front line, and again, defensive, offensive, I'm just putting it in there, right? How do we retain people a little bit better instead of them hopping around as a broker, as a service provider?
So when you're at university, as an example, and you don't make it through your first try on a course, module, I don't know, counting one, whatever it is, right? If you don't make it through that first one, but you have another option. What's that option? The option is you probably failed an exam, or you didn't make enough to pass it, so you got a supplementary exam. You have another chance at it in the same place with the same thing. But then you don't make it through the supplementary. You repeat the module the next year. And that can happen a few times over. But the most important thing is the repetition. You've got to, it's not about recycling, a trader, and it's not about clients moving around and bouncing between different options of education and trading platforms and so on. What's most important is do your research as a client at the outset, so that when you start somewhere, you're almost 100% comfortable with the decision you've made to start doing something in one specific place. Because it has addressed all of your needs.
Yes.
Do you get the education? Do you get the trading environment you want? Do you get the execution you want?
Do you get
the support that you need?
Yes.
All these are factors that play a role in your trading career. It's not a journey, and it's not an ability to generate a quick return, but it's a career. It's really something that you can actually use to supplement a portion of income if done right. But it's definitely not the thing that's going to buy you, a Lamborghini tomorrow.
A lime green Lamborghini.
Yeah.
All right.
This is not to say those are not impossible, or those are not possible things when it comes to the trading environment. But the reality is those comes with higher risks. And as you mature in your understanding of the industry, you start to understand how to better manage and mitigate these risks holistically.
Yeah. So, I think we can all agree there were some fantastic points that we actually touched on that can help the retail trader. I think, can I just go back to that point that I made in my introduction, is that asking the retail traders why they are here. And maybe if there's two people in the crowd, if there's about, maybe 3 or 4 questions, maybe 2 guys that's maybe just wants to state what they actually came to achieve at the specific conference, so that we can better understand from you as the retail trader. If that's okay. Is there any hands? Here we go. All right. Maybe just what you came to achieve. Oh, you sorted there.
Hi. Hi, my name is Tandi. I'm a retail trader. I've been teaching myself how to trade for the past 3 years. But I'm realizing that you are introduced into trading via technicals and a guy showing you a lime green Lambo, and they don't actually tell you what moves the market. So I'm coming to, like, at this point in time in my small career, I'm opening my eyes to fundamental trading. So I came today because one of the main focuses that the speakers were touching on was how to trade the news. So I came here to find out how institution and how retail traders can trade the news and benefits from, announcements made in the news.
It's a good one, right? I think let's step away a little bit. You don't want to trade the way an institution trades the news, because an institution at the outset is trading $250 billion. So there's a very different mindset and a risk mechanism towards that. But what's important to understand is what exactly are all of these news factors. We call them news, but they're actual economic data points. They state performance. It's like when you look at trading, I'll try and be quick here. I don't think we have a lot of time. But when you look at trading in the FX derivative space, right, it actually sits at the pinnacle point of what personal investment should be. Right at the bottom, you've actually got saving. You first got to make some money and then save it. That's your very first instance or experience of investment in your life. Just above that, and it's almost sort of like a Maslow's hierarchy, but just slightly above that, you've actually got your little unit trusts and saving policies and so on, where you get a bit more than you would out of a savings account. One level above that, you decide, okay, I see these shares in my unit trust funds. I've got a share trader account with my bank. I could probably buy a few shares here and there. And it's a little bit easier to analyze companies. I'm not saying it's easy by any point. It's easier than derivatives. But when it comes to stocks, as an example, you can look at a company's performance. You can analyze their financials. You can have a look at some of the directors' statements. You can look at directors' dealings. And you could come up to some kind of a speculation as to what that stock might be doing. But right above that, and this is the absolute pinnacle point of that pyramid, is derivative investing. Now, derivative investing encompasses all of those factors with a little bit more. It encompasses everything that happens on Earth. Because you have things, for example, like derivative agricultural products. You would need to monitor the weather or the climate change to understand exactly how those instruments are going to move. So when it comes to trading the news, I think what's most important is follow the actual news. A lot of people don't like watching the financial news. It seems boring, but when you start trading, it becomes even more interesting. Because you start to understand, hold on. They're talking about PPI?
Yes, how does it affect?
What does this actually mean?
Yes.
They're talking about CPI. There's a lot of PIs in here, I mean, what do these things actually mean?
Thank you very much. Is there someone else over there? Thank you. Why did you come to the conference? That's the question. What did you aim to achieve over there? There we go.
Good day, beloveds. How
Good
are
day.
you?
Well, and yourself?
I'm blessed and highly. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry, my voice is so soft. What?
A little bit higher.
Okay, so what I realized is being a beginner, learning to trade on your own, it's not that nice. I was wondering if any of these, I don't know, like for example, TDM or any other apps, do you guys offer classes to beginners, like one-on-one? You understand? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Ashley, I think I'm going to leave this one to you.
No,
because
I
if you
think-
don't know Ashley, he's relatively famous for his education. And I'm actually going to just ask Mr. Tsepo Machauri there to raise his hand as well. These are our two specialist educators at TD Markets, and guess what? We don't actually charge for education. I'm not going to get into the whole sales narrative of TD Markets, but the bottom line is we'd like to see you succeed. So you can, by all means, join any one of them for free.
Join us at our booth. We'll chat. 4 minutes. All right. Do we have someone else? Someone else? Going once, going twice? Oh. A question? All right. Go for a question. Is there another question? Let's just get the hand in the meantime. Is there another question somewhere? All right. Okay. Let's go.
Just a quick question. I just wanted to ask you. So I see, Ashley, that you're the trading educator. I just wanted to ask, what strategies do you guys teach?
So that's a very interesting question because strategies is something that's very specific. What we do at the Academy is we want to give you a broader understanding of the market. So we present market structure, key levels, giving you price action development, letting you understand what are the concepts and what is the action behind how price moves. So we're actually interested in you becoming an independent trader. So if we teach you the basics, the foundation, the concepts, there's not only beginners, intermediary and advanced, because believe it or not, advanced has its own foundational aspects as beginners does. Now, once you understand those three levels, you can then build your own strategy. And that creates independence. So that's what we aim to achieve. I hope I answered your question.
Just to add on there, right? There's no one or handful or 50 strategies that are the strategies to trade. A strategy is very personalized.
Very.
If anyone sells you a strategy, that might work for a while.
Yes.
But it was developed based on certain dynamics of the market. When that changes, you should have the knowledge to be able to adapt that strategy to what that change is on the market.
Absolutely, sir. All right. Very good question. There was another question. Yes, Mr. Nasdaq.
Hi, Ashley.
Yes.
So my question is, so I understand learning the concept of trading, right, and mastering the skill. But asking the both of you actually, as successful traders, how do you step out of that fear, the psychology that traps you in saying that I can do this, because it's always that thing of once you start learning and then you actually start putting in your money in a real account, then you start blowing that account so many times. Now that fear
I'm going to tell you where you start at one place, right? The very first thing you should be doing before you put your money in there, before you created a trading account, is read the disclaimer that exists on a website. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Because if you cannot afford to lose it, your psychology will never be at the level that it needs to be. So that's point number one. I'll let Ashley touch on the rest.
All right, so point number one, true, I agree. I think also you need to understand there's a difference between a demonstration account and a real account. Your real account is real money that's tied to your values, your dreams, your goals, and therefore it's emotional. So you will be making emotional decisions. And on the one side, there's nothing wrong with that. But on the other side, there's a lot wrong with that. So getting good training, I'm not going to punt that, but getting good training psychologically with some great mentors that have been around for X amount of years, that has matured in price action, in the understanding of how price moves, and they can coach you on discipline. Because discipline is the constant practice of self-correction. So if you've made a mistake once and you keep doing it, you got to keep correcting yourself the whole time so you don't do it. So you got to be disciplined.
So right education as well, guys.
Yeah.
When you go skydiving, you don't jump out the plane with a person who's never jumped out the plane before.
Exactly.
That guy's going to tell you, jump, it's okay. It's okay, I've got this. I'm going to control this for you.
Yep.
Because that person's teaching you how to control your emotion around it. That's very, very important when it comes to educating yourself. I think we're out of time.
5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much, guys. It was an excellent chat.